everybody. It's Winter with the Shift Spotlight, and today I'm here with Justin Bieganek. He is the founder and visionary of Mercury Creative Group. And Justin has over 25 years of experience in brand strategy, confusing topic, design, and is the creator of the Mercury method, which I actually did a little research on you. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But he is known for fostering collaboration, helping teams uncover their brand essence, and guiding organizations toward clarity, alignment, and growth. With a portfolio of 100 plus clients, he's a trusted partner in driving transformation and vision. So, welcome to the show, Justin.
Thanks for having me, Winter.
Okay, so I know I kind of did an intro, but in your own words, why don't you tell us what it is that you do?
So, do you know of an organization who can't really describe who they are or what they do? Or you do ask them, like, hey, nice to meet you. What do you do? And they just sort of vomit on you, and you're a little questioning, like, I'm not really sure what they do or who they help. We help organizations, for profit, not for profit, get super clear on who's that person that's in the center of their bullseye that they help the most, or the product that they deliver to whom. Um, and how to get really clear on that one thing that makes you different and unique. And then how do we go to market? How do we tell it in a way that resonates with that buyer, that person that's in the center of your bullseye? So I started as a graphic designer right out of college, started my business and built the company to a much more brand focused, meaning, yes, that confusing word, what is brand? It's so many things, and hopefully we'll uncover that for the audience. But um, I grew as a graphic designer, working with businesses, understanding that they needed more than just a brochure or a new website. And I
Or a logo?
or a logo, and I would do that work, and then they'd come back and either we didn't lift sales or we didn't make the change that they were looking for. And it took me quite a while to figure out, like, it's more than just this website, this brochure, this logo, these elements that they need to work to get in front of the right people. So I got a lot of good people around me over the years to help me think through more of the brand strategy effort to help our organizations scale in the right way, and to grow their revenue in the right way, and really help figure out what can we stop doing because it's just clutter. It gets in the way of our key message of what we're selling and how we're helping our people. So
And that's really it. I hear that, there's could be a negative connotation sometimes with sales and marketing, but it's really not. It's helping people. And sometimes what your superpower is, but you're just not as good of explaining what it is. And that's kind of where people like you come in. And there's, a lot of firms out there that do this, but you do things a little bit differently based on what I saw. So why don't we talk a little bit about how the Mercury Creative Group does things differently? Oh, and I do want to talk about like the background of your name too.
sure, sure. Well, it's Polish. That's always fun. What you just described is where we come in as an outside partner, an outside creative mindset, and listening to our clients talk about their business, what they do, who they help. We come in with fresh eyes and ears, so we can decipher and get much more clear on what they're trying to say in a more unique way that resonates with that ideal audience. So what I've built over the years, with a lot of help by changing and modifying it with my team members, is called the Mercury method. And it's a three-phased approach. And that first phase is all about strategy. And it's helping our organization sit down with their leadership team and key stakeholders to just hit pause and talk about the business, talk about who is in the center. Think of a bullseye if you play darts, like right in the middle is where you get the most points when you get a bullseye. Think of your ideal audience, that ideal buyer, ideal customer. Could be an ideal member that you really love helping. They bring you the most satisfaction and the most money. That is who we want to find more of. So when we work with organizations to really hit pause and get clear on who is that person you help the most, let's Frankenstein this avatar together to really figure out how we can find more of them. Where do they hang out? What are their pain points? What do they need? How do they talk about you? How do they value your service? So that work that we do is really key in setting the foundation for what do we do next, which is typically moving into the design elements. Website, logo, is the name on brand? Lots of times organizations, it's the founder's name. That doesn't mean anything to a prospect. Associations, it's a world of acronyms. Well, no one knows what that acronym is. So how can you come up with a name that actually is helping start the conversation or describe what it is that that organization provides. So our work really focuses on that
Notice.
strategy work to really hone it in and get clear on that one thing that sets you apart.
And you know this firsthand because you had a little bit of your own branding shift. So let's talk about that.
You did do your homework. This is great. So I was a founder. I had the last name, or I used the last name for my company. It was Bieganek Strategy and Design when I
And I
started.
just want to say that Bieganek is spelled Bieganek. So there's a lot of ways that can turn.
Yes. Yes. And I thought I could be clever as a young graphic designer starting my business that I would spell it phonetically because that could help everyone pronounce this Polish name. And just to give a little shout out, my dad owned a John Deere implement growing up, so I helped him and did all things in the business growing up. So I wanted to carry on that name, and that was one of the reasons I went that way. But what I didn't realize is I actually made it more difficult for people to pronounce my name because they didn't know how to use phonetics also, which was a little frustrating. So, but I made it 15 years like that, and I'm like, it's time to make an evolution. I want to hand this company over. I want to be able to scale it, and I can't scale it with my name on the door, and especially adding a confusing layer of like, that isn't even really my name. It's sort of a made up name. So
Yeah.
that was the best thing that I did, and I ran us through our process. So I had
Yeah.
a trusted contractor help us go through that process, that objective outsider coming in and helping us understand who it is we help the most and what is unique about us. Um, and it was clear going into it for me that there was a name change for sure, but it was very clear coming out of that work that that was what we needed to do. And that was one of the like key turning points for growth for us, but also staff that are still with me being along in that process, to be in that change, to be part of the
Yeah.
naming process, to be part of the new look and feel and our brand voice and that ownership and that own it and to move it forward is something that I didn't know would come out of that process. So
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've helped a bunch of companies, including yourself, clarify their own brand strategy. What's one of the things that most CEOs get wrong when it comes to branding, and how do you help them shift that mindset?
You mentioned it right in the beginning. Many leaders, as bright as they are, think branding is a logo. It's your word mark, and it's one element. That's an element. It's an element of it, but it's not all of it. So your brand is really what people say about you when you're not in the room, what they think about you, how they feel about your product or service, and it's the adding of all the things: your name, your logo, your communications, your website, how your team presents themselves, how they service their customers, how is that product delivered. There's points that are just getting added up in the hearts and minds of your buyer. But doing all of those things really well is that's a strong brand. And then you have a really loyal client, a loyal customer, a loyal member, and they will come back. You can there's kind of that forever fan, that forever champion. So that's the goal of understanding your brand. So it's not what you think it is, it's what everyone else says it is.
That's right. And that's where I think a lot of people get confused. They're like, but it's my name. But created it because of my grandma's, cookie recipe or whatever. And it's completely irrelevant if it doesn't resonate with the audience, and especially like an audience that doesn't know you, because you get that, one chance to make a good first impression. And if they leave and not understand right away what it is you do, then you've probably lost them for good.
Yes. And I mean, today we are getting cluttered with so much information, good content, good visuals.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of micro businesses really coming up really strong with a strong brand and being really well thought out with the name, the look, the feel, that overall experience. So it's catching on. Like people are being very smart in how they go to market.
So you've worked with a lot of associations and CEOs, founder-led companies. What patterns do you see in the ones that scale successfully versus ones that sort of stall out?
The successful ones are curious. They have a growth mindset. They know that they need to do something different. They know that change is inevitable. They just don't know how to get there, and they put trust in an organization like us, or others to help guide them through that process, to get
Hmm.
super clear on who are you now? What is it that you do unique and different than anyone else? And again, who's that person in the center of your bullseye? When you get super clear on that, now you know what's next. And the beauty of this, and this doesn't happen overnight. This takes time to go through this process, but when they're moving into the market with their new look, their new feel, their new communications, and how to talk about the organizations, there's a confidence and consistency that comes out of the work, the mouths of the leaders, the mouths of the staff, because they get it. They
Yeah.
understand how to talk about the organization or the product. And it's just natural. It's genuine because they've gone through the work, and leaders are also helping champion that new message, that refined story down to their board or to the C-suite and down to staff, so everyone knows how to be consistent about what to say.
Right. Right.
Hi there, this is Ken Paskins, the CEO of GCE Strategic Consulting. What's holding your company back? It's often blind spots in leadership, miscommunication, misaligned priorities, and untapped growth opportunities. GCE's 360 assessment provides crystal clear insights into your team's strengths and challenges. Then, one of our leaders will work with you to turn those insights into an action plan. Ready to build a stronger, aligned team that can execute against your vision? Learn more about our 360 assessment today.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Like, what are, when we're building a business, we make a lot of mistakes, right? We screw up along the way. But before we start talking about, some of those, why don't you tell us something that you did well and you did right, right out of the gate?
Oh, um, I'm gonna go. I mean, I started the business well, for no other crazy reason other than that I was working for another organization and I just didn't like how they were treating their customers and their staff.
Hmm.
A part of it was growing up in a family business, but I wanted to do something different. And I think I was just sort of a natural born entrepreneur, so I was a little stubborn and I wanted to do it my way. So I just jumped. I created my business. Not knowing all the things, right? But what I did really well after that was like talk to people, and they helped me, and I asked for help. Earlier, when I said I didn't know what the problem was with graphic design, and like I thought I was doing really good things and helping the organization, but some of our messaging wasn't on point. So having people come in that were really good writers and that were, oh, this thing called a strategist, what is that? I'm really curious, and to have them put their wing around me and help mentor me and level me up. That has been the probably best thing that I've done all through business. Even getting into the 2009, 2010 crunch, I had another business called Attention Displays, so it was large format printing, and we had to shut that business down, just all things happening, and that was very difficult, but I didn't know how to do it, so it was bringing in my coach, bringing in my attorney, accountant, and really kind of working through all the possibilities.
Hmm.
Um, I sort of lost where I was going with that. Oh, but it was like working through the finances and not having enough money to pay the bills, and understanding through one of my long-term vendors, they contacted me. They're like, "Hey, where are things at?" And I just kind of let them know what was going on, and they were so cool about saying, "Hey, just keep us up to date. We trust you. Like if you can get us 250, $500, whatever it is each week, just let us know what you can do to pay down our bill." And that was like eye-opening to me, to just actually be open and transparent and communicate with your partners. They're there to help you. They want me to
Yeah.
succeed. I want them to succeed. So asking for help, and being open for that help.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what are the top things impacting your industry right now? They could be positive or negative.
Yeah. Well, AI for sure, both positive and negatively. And to everyone, really jump in and use the tools. Ask for help. This is the perfect place to ask people that you trust to help set up your AI and set it up in the right way. but don't be afraid of it. That technology is really going to make some rapid change, rapid advancements. And for organizations that aren't investing in it, look out. You're going to be left behind. Um, Other things, there's still being in the
And I'm
creative.
going to chime in on that point for a
Okay.
second. Like, yeah, use AI for what you're doing in the world, but don't forget to also put your own spin on it.
Oh, yes, yes.
Like I have a huge background in marketing, and I can literally see the AI people versus the people who used AI, which is a totally different thing. They're the AI people and the people who used AI. It's like, yeah, you can't be just copy paste and not
Agreed.
going and sticking with your brand sort of trends, right?
Yes. For that voice to be authentic, I mean, this comes back, this is a little bit pitching us, but you really want to understand who is that person, what is it that they need, and how to talk to them. And if you can help start that tone of voice, the way you communicate, that messaging around that person, you can use AI to leverage the right content, but you still have to go through it. You have to edit and really make it unique and make it yours, because that's what
Yeah.
sticks in the hearts and the minds of your buyer. And they're super smart today. They can sniff out AI, they can sniff out that inauthenticity
Yep.
in a split second. So
Yep. So back to the people that you work with. We have a lot of CEOs and visionaries that listen to the show. And one of the common things that we get is, my hair's on fire. I'm running around. I'm doing all the things all the time. So for, those folks that are trying to do it all, how does building a brand actually help them get out of some of those weeds?
so taking the time to really focus on your business, focus on your organization and what it is you do, and differently than anyone else, helps you give that confidence to decide what do we prioritize and what can we sunset, what can we not do, so that you're getting the lift that you need, you're making the change that you need, you're making the progress that you need to make. It also helps you determine who to be on your team, like being able to communicate your story and communicate your culture authentically, is a draw. The people will want to come to work for you based on what they're seeing on social channels, what they're seeing out in the marketplace, what you're doing in the world. So having clarity, knowing who you are and who you help the most, that is the most important, because it's a decision making dream. It allows you to say yes to many things and no to lots of things as well. Yes to the right things.
Right. Right. And, I watched this documentary on Netflix about the Titan, which was that submersive, submarine that would go down, and they were trying to go see the Titanic. And the founder behind it, who built it, and he got so ingrained in Ocean Gate was the name of the company. He got so ingrained in Ocean Gate being him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I mean, I got goosebumps. The ultimate end of it is, their first ride down, 5 people die. But, they interview all the people that work there, and they say, hey, look, the company didn't fail because of the founder or the idea. The company failed because of the culture, because he was so tied to the brand. He didn't listen to the experts. He didn't listen to all the people telling him this was not going to work. This was not going to be a good idea. So I think what a lot of founders and visionaries have to realize is they are not their brand, and it can be detrimental if they think they are.
Yes. That's why it's super important to get out and ask your clients, ask your customers, and again, have a third party do that work for you, to have a conversation with them, because they'll tell you oodles of really good information about what it is you do well, who on your team is great, and they're going to speak in the words that you need to take and put back out in the marketplace, because more of those are going to connect and resonate with those words, that message. So
Right, right. All right. Well, just a few more questions here, and then we'll wrap up. What is a resource or framework or philosophy that you lean on when things get messy?
hmm. Uh, take a breath. When things get super messy for me, it's usually because I'm not being focused and I'm trying to do too many things. So it's go for a walk, take my dog out for a spin, and or I go to the kickboxing gym because that ability for me to work out and not have my mind thinking about anything helps bring that clarity and allows me to think and focus. So that's typically what I
The
would.
clarity breaks, and we actually just celebrated our 100th episode. We launched it today,
Congratulations.
actually. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I went into chat, and in less than 5% of podcasts actually hit 100 episodes. So that's kind of cool. But Megan Hickman was on the episode, and she had this huge segment on clarity breaks and just how important it was to sort of step away and just give yourself that ability to, I mean, regulate your nervous system, like we don't realize what we do all day long. We're just doing it. Right. So it's good for that.
My number two, Emily, my integrator, we went to an EOS. It was an afternoon luncheon sort of refresher. And that was the thing that we walked away with, like, we're not doing this for ourselves or holding each other accountable for the clarity breaks that are super important. So, yeah.
Okay. And if you had to do it all over again, speaking to a younger self or less experienced self, what would your advice be?
I would go work for an agency to get under the wings of another business and to learn the right way to do things because I've made a lot of mistakes over the years. So that's what I would do differently. And really why the EOS framework for me was a game changer was it actually gave me a framework to run the business that I wasn't doing all the things in the right way and how to really kind of compartmentalize the business and think about that each organ or part of the business strategically. So that's what I would do differently. I would actually learn from some others first.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay. And final question. Where do you see yourself investing resources for growth over the next year?
Right now, well, I'm investing in what does my exit plan look like. So I'm actually working, this is new for me on like what's the next 10 years, and how do I exit to set it up successfully to hand it over and see the legacy of the company grow and grow and grow. So I'm working on that right now. The other resources are sales. I've kind of worked on every chunk of the business and coming in, I'm kind of the lead salesperson, but I need to learn how to do that better. And so that's where I'm investing resources right now to sort of help me figure out what are the right things I should be doing to
Yeah.
um, close business faster. And also to say no to some business that we probably don't need to be doing. So,
Yeah. Huge part of sales. No is a huge part of sales that people don't
yes.
seem to understand. So, well, this was great. If somebody listening wanted to take the next step with you, what should they do?
I would love for them to go check out our website at mercurycreativegroup.com. We've got lots of resources right on the homepage as well. So I talked about how do you define your primary audience. We have a worksheet there. We have a value proposition worksheet as well. So those are free to download. Give them a shot. And I'm always open to a conversation. So there's a contact form. You can reach out to me or check me out on LinkedIn, which is Justin M. Bieganek on LinkedIn. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show today, Justin. It was great.
thank you, Winter.